2-day opportunity. So anyway, let's go back to the task at hand, which is this. You know what? At the end of the day, it's kind of a trend day. So I don't know if it's the greatest to merge these days, but because it's pretty much in the same region, I'm going to at least look at it. I think it's okay to merge it. Can you see there's a bit of grey there? Just because I merge this stuff and you don't do what I do, but you can see it was basically overlapping completely, so kind of makes sense to merge it, right? But it was a trend day. There wasn't much balance built within the previous balance, but because it was within the day, to me, it's pretty good merge. So I've merged it again. This is what I say, make a decision. And if you're confident in it and you say, do you know what? So let's take it out again. Remove rightmost, merging profile, yeah. Can you see it was actually a trend day? The market never really established any balance, did it? It opened and went imbalanced, little bit of value, imbalance, little bit of value, imbalance. Do you see it's basically just constantly going imbalance throughout the day? It never really built any value within this value. So at the end of the day, if that was your logic and you thought, nah, do you know what? I didn't see any value there. It's perfectly fine not to merge it. It's not going to make a big difference. These things will even themselves out over time. So this is why I say, just use logic, okay? Me personally, my logic is, well, it's pretty much within the entire, they call these things like inside days and stuff. I don't like to think of it that way because that to me is like a rule. I don't care if this breaks this a little bit or whatever, or that, and it has broken it. My point is, it's basically overlapping. Like I said, I don't like to use rules. I like to use my analytical thinking capability that an algo can't. You see, an algo would say, nope, it's broken it. It's broken the rule. And this is where we have a huge advantage, obviously, because we can use our logic and say, do you know what? Yeah, okay, it's broken it, but it's within the previous 2 days trading. So merge it. And as I said, have a look at them if in doubt. So there's no right or wrong, guys. You've got to do what makes sense to you. That's your alpha. I'll build my alpha the way that I do it. I'm giving you very good guidelines, you can see. But this is why I say we're never going to have the same identical trades. And if you think that's the case, I don't mean this in a harsh way. I'm trying to help you. This isn't the right business for you. If you think that you and I are going to have exactly the same conclusions all the time, we're not. And you know this. This is why in professional circles, I said this before, as I became more senior and I saw juniors come in and I used to try and show them the ropes, and the failure rate was so high. 8 to 9 out of 10 people fail in this. Why? A lot of it is to do with this. They're obsessed. No, Envy did that. I have to get it the exact same as him. No, the market doesn't work like that. You're gonna observe perceptions of value are going to be different. Look, it's so obvious. The thing is, I think it's because it's never been pointed out potentially to you when you do retail education, is what is a marketplace? It's an auction of people. Does every single person perceive value to be identical? No, I know I talked about eBay saying the iPhone is £1,000, but at the same time, your perception of the value of that phone, is it the same as everyone else's? No, of course not. It might be 1,020, it might be 1,030. Someone else's might be happy at 1,060. Why do you think an auction happens and eBay doesn't always settle at the same price? Everyone's perception of value is sometimes slightly different. We have to accept that. That's the game we're getting ourselves into. Okay, so could be a reality check in its own, but I'm not going to do that. Look, at the end of the day, it's better that sometimes I say these things as I'm doing them, right? So I'm going to merge that, and sorry it took me so long to go through that, but it's important. I want you to see that, my logic is my logic and it works for me. It's not going to be always the same for you. Then you can see here, brilliant trading opportunity, right? 10 times out of 10, I'm going to be selling this market, assuming all the other things I look at, which we'll obviously talk about later. But Look, value area low. We closed here, didn't we? So overnight, we clearly did what? Built value here, right? Market condition changed. I'm looking here, shift. What did I put for the value expectations framework? Balance to imbalance if the value area is broken, or I put it in 6 as well. If we build above or below the value area. What have we done here overnight? We've built. We've come in, market's opened here, drove up, does this a lot. It loves to close gaps to value areas, okay? So that's something to watch out for. I haven't really spoken about in particular, but do watch out for that. The market will love to close this gap just to complete the auction, and then it will drive down. So even if you got short early and it drove up, personally, if the order flow is correct, I'd be adding. You know, you could always stop yourself out and get back in, and then you'd have a great move. And where's your target? We already spoke about it, previous value. So I know I said I wouldn't open every single one up, but just love this stuff. I want to show you how powerful it is. So I won't keep doing that, but obviously, because time will get, we haven't even done what, a few days yet, but just want to show you the power of this stuff. So anyway, obviously here there's no merges, right? There's nothing to do. Now, this is where you can start to look at splits. Because look, at the end of the day, the market didn't balance from there to there, did it? What you can do is you can say, and I think I mentioned this before, is the period, the TPO period that came into the balance area, where you've basically had the next day. So in fact, let me back up a little bit here, because what's actually happened is this period, what have we actually done? It wasn't there at the time of this period coming down, right? This didn't exist. So here on this day, what would we be using? That area. So you can see brilliant trading opportunities again, right? So here's my point. On this day, right, this day has formed, would we merge with this day? Personally, I'd just merge them straight away because I don't do the splitting thing. I've got my own reasons for it. It's my personal reasons, okay? And a lot of that is to do with, it takes time, I have to sit, I have to take longer. I'm looking at so many factors in the morning when I'm doing my hypo. And I simply don't do it, okay? I haven't found, for me, that's necessarily made much difference, but it is more accurate if you do the splitting procedure, which I said I'd show you, and then you can make your own decision. So it's the period that comes into the balance period, okay? So you click on it, remember? So it's this period, and you click on it, split profile here. Do you see I split it out? Can you see what I'm doing? I'm getting rid of this bit. There you go. Can you see? Perfect balance now. Okay, so you can do that. Do it if you want. I'd recommend you do it at the start of your career. I did this for many, many years just to get the perfect balances, and technically it's correct, isn't it? It's up to you. I don't do it. Look, if I merge with prior profile, do you see? All right, your value area is going to be a little bit more accurate. It's probably wherever it was there. Mine's going to shift. I've got my reasons for it, and like I said, that's my perception of value. I'm happy with it, that it might be not exactly perfect, because I'm looking at so many other things anyway. Fine. But do it properly. And then later on in your career, as you get more advanced, and, you know, because you're going to be taking your time over these things. Again, look, do it how you want to do it. I've shown you how I do it. So let me start again. So the period comes into the balance area, split profile here. You can see actually it is the right way to do it, isn't it? Because you're getting the right balance. So merge with next profile. Okay. Then I'm going to mark that. Okay. So can you see here we've got overlapping balance now. So what I'm going to do personally is I'm going to move that point of control here, and you'll see why I'm doing that. Because what I do is, when obviously the previous balance is no longer valid, because the market had fair value here, it's clearly told us it's shifted. It's shifted, right? So not only condition change on the day, we've actually had a composite condition change. This is still very much valid. Obviously, if we go here, you know, I'm going to use these levels. That's not the case. It's where you've got overlaps. Clearly, the market has told you that its perception of value in this area has changed, okay? So I'll get rid of this now. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so you just click on it, cut drawing here, okay? So it's cut. And I just like to tidy up a bit, and I just get rid of it. And then what I'll do is I'll mark this area here, because it's still very much valid, okay? The top of balance, this area, okay? You can see the market respects it very well. It's just this, look, the market's built value over it. It's clearly telling me that is no longer an edge. I've removed the edge. I hope that's obvious to you, okay? So get rid of it. Okay, then we come into the next day, and I'm going to merge those two, obviously. That's probably some sort of half day in the markets or something, I don't know. Merge with next profile, okay. Then we're going to do what? Adjust. Okay, now we get into a grey area. Can you see why I wanted to do every single day? I'm not showing you perfect cherry picking, because it doesn't work like that. All right, and this is part of the problem with half the stuff I see out there. It's all cherry picking crap. At the end of the day, you're gonna face tough decisions, and you need to see this as a amazing opportunity. What algorithm in the world is going to be able to make this decision in a systematic way? Don't happen. Okay, anything systematic, algorithm's got the edge, it's going to get wiped out. You're not going to be able to compete. This, on the other hand, you can really start to think, hang on, what's the market trying to do here? I can merge them, does it look right, etc., etc. For me, all right, it did end up rejecting, but spent a big part of the day with imbalance. I'm going to merge these. You could argue and say, no, do you know what, NV? We opened up, we came out, we rejected point of control, and actually we ended up slightly outside. For me, not enough of the day was outside of it. If all of this, you know, about 60-70% of the day was outside, fine. Do you see? I made a decision based on my logical thinking. You can think of it differently. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And, you know, you just deal with the consequences, because the market, I'm not going to be the judge in this situation who's right or wrong. The market will tell you. And you can see, end of the day, there must have been some investors who perceived it the way that I see it, which is that I merged the two. And then obviously, look, clearly the market did respect this edge of value here. Either way, it respected it. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to merge them. There you go. And I would have adjusted it. And fine, my way ended up being slightly more accurate, but again, it's not. You're going to find times where you make decisions and the market respects that. You know, we're not talking a million miles apart, are we? It was either the areas here or here, okay? And look, at the end of the day here, yours got more respected, being slightly lower. Do you see it evens itself out? Honestly, I've just learned over time, make a decision, move on. Don't get hung up over it, because if you look for that, you see, this is the problem sometimes of being too systematic, is you'll keep chopping and changing and you'll drive yourself nuts if you try to come up with a perfect method, because it will always even itself out, typically, is what I've found. If you use logic and stick to, you know, your way of thinking and don't let other people's things cloud your judgment, it's going to work out much better for you. So yeah, so the next day came in, we opened up, we went out, it was in balance. Would you agree those two are obviously balanced? Now, there's an important thing here I want to mention to you. When I've got an old sort of value area I'm looking at and I've got a more recent one, guys, it's obvious, right? The recent recent composite is going to trump old value, obviously, because this is new investors. New participants that may not have been active in June have come into the market in July. And this is kind of off topic, but it's a very important point where, again, you can really start to think logically and in an amazing way that, I'm trying to bring this thinking to you that you may not have seen in the traditional space. Do you notice how I said there? Investors in July that participated that weren't there in June. That's out the box thinking. You've got to start thinking like that. Do you know what? These are new participants that maybe weren't there. What indicator in the world is going to tell you that? Nothing. This indicator, okay? And I'm not patronizing anyone. In fact, embrace it. I'm sure there's many times where you used indicators and thought, I'm getting fed up of having to rely on this thing. I want to be able to think for myself, giving you an amazing opportunity to do that. Okay, so my point is this: with recent value, it's obviously new investors, it's new approaches, it's new perceptions of value, is always going to trump old ones. So if I have to make a decision in the moment between this value area and this one, obviously the newer one is going to take precedence, and I hope that's obvious. Okay, and I'll even be honest with you, I've had periods of my life where I've actually just not even bothered marking that, because it can sometimes get messy. I'm just trying to give you options that you can make decisions on through observation. So I got no problem with you getting rid of the entire thing and just not marking this line. I like to have it because it's quite recent. If we start to move on in time and this is still here, I might just, and the market's clearly telling me it's not respecting it. So you see here, we just traded through it. We traded through it single days. Here it respected it quite well. Here it respected it quite well. This, there was a bit of trading. Here, it did respect it, was okay. But what I mean is, if we get a day that just trades over and over and over it, I'm just going to cut it, basically, is my point. So I hope that makes sense and gives you some really good food for thought. So these two clearly we're going to merge. Okay. Okay, so at this stage I am probably just going to, either you can cut it. Sorry, cut drawing here. Or you can just delete it. I'm just going to delete it, okay? So anyway, let's move on. Do you see how I'm not getting rid of any of these? I've only got rid of that. I don't get rid of them until a new composite comes in and we overlap. So here we've got balance, then we move on. We had this day which was fairly rotational and then went imbalanced. I'm not going to merge anything here still. Then we had this day and this day. I'm going to merge these two. Okay, pretty good balance. Now, because I merged them, I'm going to mark the composite. Okay, so we went rotational here. We had fairly good rotation. So there may have been opportunities in there. Your final rotation and play, you may have got a little stop out. But look, we built value below. Condition change. What did I say? Balance to imbalance. If the value area is broken and we build value here, where's your target? Next composite. Look at that. Beautiful day. Right? Self-explanatory, this stuff. Like I said, this stuff is unbelievable. It's not an indicator. It's just transaction to transaction. Value to value. Like I said, balance to imbalance, to balance to imbalance, to balance. That's all it's doing all day long. This just helps you identify fair value so you can build trading opportunities. So I personally wouldn't merge any of this stuff, but again, what you can do is, so what you'll notice is typically the best times to use the splits are where you've got not balanced days, but where you've got double or triple distribution days. And if you read Markets in Profile or all the other books that I told you to read, you'll see there's day types. Guys, I got no time for all that stuff. To me, it's all very rules-based. This shape is a trend day. This shape is a this distribution day or normal, I can't remember, I'd looked at this years ago. There's all these day types you'll see. Go through the process and actually observe it for yourself. But for me, nonsense. End of the day, I'd rather just make that decision on potential day type myself. All distribution shapes are unique in their own. Investors behave differently slightly every day. So I like to be loose with my definitions of day type. But in theory, it's a trend day, because what is it? Balanced to imbalance, to balance to imbalance. Those are the days where you get value over. It's almost like what I said to you, where you have this weekly profile, and I said I like to split them out. Do you see? That's all you're doing. You're just doing it on a day basis as opposed to the whole week, which is what this could be. I hope that makes sense. You know, where I said I was looking in one of the previous sections of stage 1, I think I was showing you guys that, you know, the problems with weekly profiles is they can have 2 distributions. That's why I like to split and do what? Merge. What we're doing now. That's all you're doing when you're using these splits. And that will obviously happen when you get these double distributions. Do you see? That's just one distribution, one value. Obviously, I've merged it, but here you could argue you've got 2 distributions. So you want to split that out. Do it. I can't. It's not that I can't be bothered, but it's, for whatever reason, through years and years of watching this, I've just found that for me, I don't want to do the split thing. Like I said, it's a personal decision, but I'll do it so you can see how to do it. So do you see this whole balance is in here? So you can just split it out, essentially. Split profile here. Do you see that? And if you want, you can merge it. And do you see? It doesn't make much difference. I just don't do it. I've got my reasons for it, but it's up to you. Then you've got this balance and this balance, and you see you can then split the profile there. Does it make sense? Hopefully it does. Do you see? And you can merge half a day and half a day in. Okay. Now, what you can do is, I'm not going to do it. In theory, what you should be doing is doing that. I'm not going to do it. Why is that? Because what is this? What exactly is this? Let's have a look. It's half of this day and it's half of that day. Can you see? It's a day. Why am I going to remove such a powerful composite that I've got here? 1, 2, 3, guys, 4 days I'm going to remove for what? 1 day? No, I'm not going to do it in a million years. Merge profile begin, merge profile end. All right, if you want to do it, but it's meaningless. Might as well just be a day. I hope you can see that. So I'm not going to do that. So I'll leave that there. Even here, look, in theory, can you see? This is, in fact, I'm glad I showed you. This is another reason why I don't necessarily like to use the splits, because I don't want to get into these grey areas. Should I do this? Should I? No. Let me try and make my life simple. That's why I don't do it, but do it. Do it for the next 6 months. Keep splitting until you observe and you think, do you know what? Maybe I won't do it, because what Envy showed me here, where you start to get into these, having to make these silly decisions about like getting rid of old composites that are so powerful, 4 days value, and replacing them with half and half. No, I don't want to do that. And then it might make me merge, as I showed here, this half day with this 1 day, and then I would have to get rid of some of this powerful stuff, as in multi-day composite value here. If investors have told you for 4 days they're happy with value, why would you replace it with something like 1 day balance, 1 and 1.5 day? I'm not going to do it, guys, okay? So, like I said, it's up to you. Do the splitting, keep splitting. It's different if I've got balance day here, I've got balance day here, I've got balance day here, and I'm merging all of this with this split. Different kettle of fish. Fine, then I will chop all this. But I'm not doing that, am I? I'm merging like literally this half a day, which wasn't even balanced. Show me, where's the balance here? There's no balance. It's just It's just an imbalanced market. This is balance, right? This is a balanced day. This is a nice balanced day. But you can't see that because I've covered it. This, guys, is just nothing. The market couldn't agree. So, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not going to do it. This is why I like showing you day by day by day. You can see the decisions I'm making day by day. These aren't cherry-picked examples where it's just everything's perfect. Life's perfect, yeah. Indicator, or whatever's told me to merge. So no, it doesn't work like that in reality. So I'm not going to merge any of this stuff. You can see the market essentially went from imbalance, didn't find value here, but went balanced in this environment. Good trading opportunities, right? We come in from an imbalance perspective. We build value here. Where's target? Do you remember? In a balanced rotation environment, expect to test the other side of balance. Probably take some profit there. Where do we go? Other side of balance. That was, I'll put that as number one. Okay, so I'm going to try and speed it up a little bit because obviously we've only just not even covered a month. Then we come down. Yep, I'm going to merge those two. Do you see? We respected it there. So let me mark that anyway. Okay, merge. Where it's obvious, I'm just going to do it. I'm not really going to give you my logic for it. It's just obvious. That clearly was a bit of a wild day, so nothing doing there. So I merged those two, didn't I? Merge with next profile. Okay, look at that nice drive off the point of control, as in towards the end of the day. Do you remember what I said? That last period towards the close in crude oil is completely crazy, guys. I generally don't trade that last 2 to 230 towards the end of the day. Crude has this thing where it can be balanced all day and then it can just go in balance just literally in the last half period. It's crazy how it does it. But it's fine. At the end of the day, we're trading from 9 in the morning US time till 2 o'clock. You've pretty much got 90% of the session where it does tend to behave itself to some extent. So don't worry about that. Don't let one period put you off. It's meaningless. I think earlier on we were looking at it and it did that in one of the earlier days. But you see, it's not like that every day, but it does have a habit of doing that. Then we've got, I'm not going to cover every single day. You can see it's obvious that the market is respecting this value area. Here we had a bit of a choppy day. I would probably merge this, this and this, right? Because it's all within the same sort of period. Okay, and can you see the lower value area stayed the same? Amazing, isn't it? So I would have that area there. Then here, you can see very much respected by the market. Very, very strong area here. Confluence. Confluence of transactions, not 50% fib with some trend line that makes no sense. If you saw my footprint example, you saw what happens to trend lines when you switch from minute-based charts to volume-based charts. It's all garbage, guys. That's not confluence. This is confluence of demand and supply, not that demand and supply nonsense I see people drawing on, you know, their charts. It's more actual demand. I'm talking market orders, right? Value area of, how are these value areas formed? The statistics based on actual market orders, transactions. And that is incredible confluence. So we opened up, yeah, we didn't test the other side of value. We drove down. You may have tried to get short in here. Doesn't matter. You got, take a little hit. And as soon as you see value building here, amazing opportunities to go to the other side, right? And in fact, at the end of this day, I would have merged it. Obviously, I'm going to merge it into that right? So there is some overlap here, not enough for me to necessarily want to get rid of this. Look, it's such a small amount. For me, that's incredible confluence. And look at that. Beautiful day. Absolute killer of a day. You should be killing it on this day, guys. Balance. Balance environment, stay imbalanced. As I said, value expectation is what? To stay imbalanced. If you're balanced, why would you want to target out of balance? You wouldn't. Obviously, the exception to that is if we start to build, as I said, around this area, and then you can think about breaking early and preempting it. But unless those clues are there, just do what the market's telling you to do, which is it wants to stay rotational. As you can see, very much the market stayed within balance. Makes sense. It's going to merge that. Okay, and adjust these slightly. This day, nothing doing, right? It's up to you whether you mark these point of controls. You can just take them off if you want and just remember where they are. But do you remember, like I said, a day comes in and it just chops it off, and I like to maintain it. It's up to you guys what you want to do. Can get a bit messy, but I like to keep it on there. Then you've got this day, nothing doing, right? You've got this day. Okay, so we're going to leave that region. Do you see I still leave these on? If I come back 2 months later to this area, I need to know where was fair value. Where in this area between 60 and 65 did the market determine fair value to be on a composite basis? Okay, so we're getting into August now. I'm really going to be quick with a lot of this. I'm going to merge. So because I'm rushing a little bit, if I make an obvious mistake that whilst you're watching this back, you think, oh, why didn't he do that? I apologize, but I'll try my best to be as accurate as possible. Because I really want to get through a lot of this, just because I want you to see day by day by day by day. Almost 1 year period, if I'm not missing a day. You can't say to me, oh, Envy, what happens in this environment? You wasn't clear. No, I'm showing you everything. I'm covering all bases so that when you face this, you have a good point of reference to come back to. Okay, so clearly I merged that. We went in balance. Nothing doing there, nothing doing there in terms of merging. This, nope, because we had these periods in between. So obviously I'm not going to merge that. This and this, yep. See, I'm going to merge these days. This and this, I think, is a fairly good balance. You can have a look at it. For me, okay, I've said this to you before. It's kind of a grey area. You could argue to me, yeah, but Envy, do you know what? We came in, we rejected value, point of control, we came out, we built a little bit of value there. For me, that wasn't enough for me to say, no, it's not part of that. I'm quite happy to merge that, and I'm going to merge it. Make a decision, move on. Like I said, we're not always going to be identical, and I've said this before. It's not the right. It doesn't work like that in this business. It's people, and like I said, their perceptions of value can be different, as yours and mine can be different. So what am I going to do now? Can you see the overlap? I'm going to cut it. Cut this drawing here. See that? Old one. Not going to use that anymore. Finished. Point of control. Get rid of that. Mark this point of control. And like I said, look, if I make a blatant mistake, obviously I'm not marking however many 200 days there are here every day, right? So obviously I'm rushing through them. I might make a glaringly obvious mistake, and I do apologize for that in advance, but I'll try my best not to. This day we went rotational, broke out, and obviously went in balance. So amazing day, just literally just chop through everything, didn't it? Happens. Markets aren't perfect. See, problem is I can't merge this with this and this because we've had this. It's going to look, if I try and, do you see that? I'm not going to do that because it's just nonsense. So when we have days in between that went out of balance, we come back into balance. We don't merge that, okay? Okay, so for now, very happy with all of this. See how powerful this is? Market condition, guys. Here, it's balanced. Here, we went imbalanced, and you could have keyed off some of these previous levels. Obviously, you'll have tools to help you do this and guide you, like the VWAP. It's a framework that all institutions are using. But it's a grey, there's going to be grey areas in that, but I'm going to give you the framework so you can start to develop the understanding of it. As I said in the next section, stage 2, which after this, we're going to get straight onto that. So here we've got very much the market is respecting this rotation. You see here, respecting it. So I'm going to merge these two. Okay. And therefore this old one, cut it. Yeah, agree? Because it's getting overlapped with new value. New investors have come into the market. They've told us their perception of value has changed. So I'm going to merge that. We had a nice rotational day there, which you could have taken trades off using, obviously, contextual levels from this composite area. We'll come back to this, the actual specifics of entry. Don't think I sit here with my pen going, oh yeah, you know what, I've just, yeah, we opened it. No. The actual intricate detail of getting into trades, out of trades, that's done on a chart using the VWAP, so don't worry. I'm just trying to get you thinking in terms of the, what do I call them, the value expectations framework. Can you see that? I'm just trying to help you develop some hypothesis thinking. This is the very first part of it. I don't want you to think, oh, Envy's just coming in. What is he doing here? Saying, oh, I would have done this, I would have done that. No. That's not what I'm doing at all. In fact, I'm slowly laying the seeds in your mind of why we have expectations and why we build them, and how we do them and why we're doing them in terms of the composite. We're going to then combine this with the VWAP, and these levels, I'll have them marked on the chart, okay? And I'll show you how to do that in the future. So, merge with next profile, yep. So I'm going to merge those two clearly because there was balance there. Okay, then we kind of didn't respect this at all in this day. We had a bit of a choppy day there, and then we came in here. Would you agree? Look, they're just overlapping, guys. I'm going to merge those two, no questions asked. Investors came in and they told us, do you know what? We've got no interest in this balance area and this balance area. This is now our new balance area. It's within two of them, but clearly market changes its mind, you know. Like I said, it's normal, it's a good thing. The market's giving us feedback that actually it's no longer interested in this area. So get rid of that. Cut drawing here, and we'll just keep moving on. So you see that now, got rid of that, get rid of that point of control, If I forget to mark these point of controls again, forgive me. I'm trying to do loads in one go. It's been years since I did this. I used to do this obviously when I first started looking at this. Surprised I'm still in a relationship. I used to spend weekends on Market Replay doing this stuff. Literally, it's like 7 days a week, you know. It's the sort of commitment it requires for you to, obviously you can do it around your job and stuff, but what I'm saying is it's not always going to be during market hours, right? You're going to be doing this stuff at weekends, evenings, just doing loads of merges. Obviously these days I don't do it. I just do my one day and then I go off, but you know, it's just normal. That's going to take a bit of time. Now here, I'm not going to merge that and that, right? Because the majority of the time it's spent outside of value. But do you remember what I said? When another day comes in, it can change things completely because the market's telling us, actually, I'm in value there. So I'm going to merge the four. So this is the point where sometimes 3 days might not be a merge, but fourth day comes in, gives us a bit of information. I talked about this in task 1. So I'm going to merge that, I'm going to merge that, okay? See, that needs to adjust. That needs to adjust. What I might do is I might speed up a little bit just because some of these are quite clear, so I don't want to obviously go through one by one. But look, these 3 days I'm going to merge, right? So this day I wouldn't have merged, new day I would have merged,